So I wanted to take some time out to explain why I have weird views and what people would actually do to Jesus if he actually returned. Um, so yeah, I'm coming at it from a perspective where I'm like, raped by a bunch of children into my adulthood while maintaining the child status. Makes me very skeptical of the child protectors too, because they always use protection of children, for their cover for the opposite. Really looks like you guys are failing on a lot of issues with child protective services, is child sexually abused services. Looks really stupid, and it's a way to constantly steer the mob. So then I turn into an adult that they're trying to, get airing and everything after abusing me with all their children. And they're like, we now they're over 18. Now, let's get our children to like feel themselves up around me. And Denver is the only, city that hasn't done that yet. I know they're going to slip someone in eventually because I talk about it. So, that will be an easy peasy thing. Um, so, uh, so yeah, being, sexually abused, and it's like an angle that nobody ever wants to talk about. Not one person like have a serious conversation with me about this ever, ever, ever. Not one. I'm totally alone. I'm one of those targeted individuals for life. It's part of this psychological warfare, so I don't let it bother me that much, really. But I notice these things, and the child protectors could look like the child sex traffickers, for a good fucking reason. You almost could be working for them and not know it. And there's a lot of people. They're like, I'll do anything to protect my children. And it's like, wow, it sounds like you're emotionally primed to be manipulated, and that's exactly what the other side does, and so yeah, you guys would totally molest Jesus into his adulthood with your children. You would do that. You have done that. I have a higher Christ side, which is why I was like, trying to run for president, in the United States and just do what the people wanted, and do a bunch of Jesus-like things, like straight up, like we're going to clean trash out of the oceans, we're going to have clean drinking water for everyone, fuck all this fucking nonsense, fuck your fucking wars, just everything that the people wanted, everything that the people wanted. And I still believe in that. But then I have my lower Satan side too. And both of those are not that evil. It's almost like a Deadpool character, except I'm not violating and I would never come in a soap dispenser. I most often just come in my pants, and I have a hard time doing it with other people because other people have been violating to me my whole entire life. That would get the kids. I went to this Notre Dame in Clarendon Hills, Illinois, from kindergarten to third grade. I have two roofie recalls from that, where there's a bunch of classmates around me, at least in one of them, where I was in the church, and because I am a strong spiritual entity, I often wake up during my roofie experiences, and I noticed a bunch of classmates around me, a bunch of different age classmates, because they teach, kindergarten through eighth grade. So, the teachers were involved in this. The teachers were involved in this. All right, and so they would get, I don't know what they did to me, but I, was restrained in the church, at the Notre Dame church there. I noticed the wood beams and everything that hold up that church that, obviously are still there. The massive wood beams. And then a bunch of classmates around me. And then the second roofie recall, I'm in that little choir area in the beginning, or in the front entrance there, where they, usually have the choir. I don't know where they put it now. Maybe that's the same spot. And I was over there because I feel the first time I came conscious and I looked around and I saw everybody. Like one of my classmates, Larry, whatever his fucking last name is. I don't know. But so I know he was there, but I know there was kids from other classes there. Meaning there was a whole bunch of teachers there in on it. Yeah, did they do the Sage and Palo, 360 days of the year and not 365. And no one checks trucks like food delivery trucks. No one randomly checks them for fucking children, do you? Child protectors. And it looks like you're really doing a horrible job. And then you end up abusing people into their adulthood because that's okay. They're over 18. That's okay, everybody. It's okay. Because it's over 18. So they know the very, very emotionally charged, perfect people to do this with. And then, I get abused for life. Starting when I'm, being roofie molested in Notre Dame by children. I would have the children teach me homophobia because you're shoving things in my ass. So later in life, they know that I'm going to enjoy anal things, right? So then you're like, homophobia, homophobia. You teach me that, right? You go around, I don't quite remember it, but my mom and everyone would tell me, the kids would make me cry hard that God hates you. God hates you. They would tell me this. They would write me notes and make me cry and everything. And it really feels like the opposite, actually. So it was very, and these are the things you would literally do to Jesus. You would do these things to Jesus. And you would do it under the guise of child protection, which is why I'm totally turned off to it. And I am very suspicious of anyone fucking claiming child protection, using it as an excuse to do crimes on people, right? And yeah, not only that, but like I'm a child and I'm having this one family doing very evil things to me. One of them was roofie possessed me. Roofie possessed me up until recently, and that happens to, this isn't just unique to me. They do this to millions a year, which is why the Catholic files that everyone's getting distracted by with this Epstein shit and the stuff that I mentioned, the lighter, eyes wide shut shit. That's definitely the lesser of the darker stuff, the more petty of the darker stuff. Because I'm hearing, more stuff from this Virginia Griffins from the Hooded Spider or Hood Spider. Thank you. I saw that on Twitter, and and they're like stripping kids naked, giving them a head start, like a 10-minute head start, and like grabbing a rifle or some other weapon and hunting them and shit. But you're not really going to hear much about that. Virginia Griffin, Jaffe. She also talked about like how they inject people with gene altering things, and then they get some creature that isn't quite human to breed them, and to make a hybrid species and shit. And you're not going to hear anything about that. And if you get anything about out of the Epstein files at all. And of course, the system would throw their own under the bus to protect the system. So, but it's going to make everybody feel good. It's going to make everybody feel good if we just give them like, just a little bit, okay? Even if we have to throw our people under the bus. That's why they threw Diddy under the bus, because it was a lesser thing, because it was the smallest pile of bodies they got. So they don't want anyone discovering the bigger piles. So they do these little tactics and everything. So, I, being, roofie, molested, oh yeah, the FBI, CIA in their off time, would show me picture books of their child porn when I was a child, right? So there's that. So they try to make sexually erring adults for the mob to be steered at, and that's totally what the evil would do. That's totally like, they're like, yes, now we get to torture people for life, but grandstand on all this shit, and what else, so, oh yeah, probably taking pictures of me with their children, right, when I'm roofied in my 20s. You would get, they would get all sorts of families and adults. Maybe they are legit child protectors, but then they don't know all this other information, and they're getting their children to dress like sluts, and in previous towns and everything, they'll get them to like feel themselves up around me and shit, because I'm the problem, or some completely made up bullshit. And it doesn't really bother me. and I have weird views because of this, because I'm just totally turned off to both sides. I'm turned off to everything. Using the guise of child protection to abuse people into their adulthood sounds like you're manifesting bad karma for yourselves. And then you look around and you're like, man, this place is like hell. And it's like, really, really, and you do. How many? Okay, you bust the Zionists, with the sex offender thing. All right, you get some stuff right from time to time. How many are, what are the stats on how many are literally mentally retarded, like adults, like an IQ of like 85, 90 or less? That people have busted, and they feel good about it, but they don't know any background, and the person doesn't even know that they've been sexually abused so much, right? Because it's very hard to detect this shit. I'm very fortunate enough to have my like 7 roofie recalls. I probably got roofied a whole lot more than that. And it's something that I deal with for life. So I went to a recent meetup group and everything, and they needlessly brought their children around me. And then they had some guy talk about David Koresh and everything, because people tried making me a David Koresh, right? But you're just manifesting bad karma for yourself. May it be reflected on you, not by 3, but by 33. Okay. So yeah, and it's just I'm here trying to help people out, and people are doing their psychological warfare, getting people to partake in it unknowingly, because they're like, yeah, this is how we protect children. We get our children to like fucking dress like total sluts around this target and then feel themselves up around him because, yeah, it is really fucked up. On top of, they get people to look like past loves of mine, at Food Bank of the Rockies, which, by the way, I heard a story from some of you nicer ones that actually understand these things, that a lot of the church groups and stuff that go across seas, and we just want to feed and clothe the children, and then they lie about it, and then they make shit up, and they have these fake letters or reused letters to trick the donors and the good Christians that they think they're doing good and everything, but they're just doing it for, to fuck children. And then I'm like, oh, that must probably occur at places like food banks too, right? But at this particular food bank, they had brought someone that looked exactly like my first girlfriend. When we started dating when we're like, 19 years old, so we just graduated high school. I don't know her particular age because I have this facial blindness thing, just like this like one, meetup leader and everything. The other day that I visited, I went out for a cigarette and I came in. I got a little distracted, but I eventually got back to the class, and she had her daughter there, and I'm like, I couldn't tell if she was 16 or 27. I just, I just, no idea. Thankfully, she was just like sitting there nicely and everything and giving, constructive criticism. So, and I get it, because I am like a child of God maker. So people are trying to like get a child of God out of me. And this is good cover for the child sex trafficking shit. Is saving face, making it look like, no, we're just child protectors. What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, maybe I get shit wrong, but you know what? I'm just going to, assume, these things because it's safer to do that. And I'm not going to be emotionally jerked around to be some dude that like abuses other people, and especially when they're abused for life. They're essentially abused for life. And they're doing this psychological warfare shit, and it's like, they get me on. We caused you enough brain damage, Christopher, to make it hard for you to tell. How many more millions did you do that to? And just stuff to make you feel good. Meanwhile, and the predators, the actual predators are laughing their asses off, over the system they created. They get the child protectors to work for the child pedophiles, but unknowingly so most of the time. So they're, just, doing their really lame shit that just turns me off to all ya. All ya. What else? So yeah, just, getting sexually abused, and you guys would do this to a Jesus because you have done this to a Jesus-like character. And then you bring me down to like a lower vibration to where I could be like a Satan, and yeah, kicking the money changers out of the temple. That sounds fun with the whip of thorns. Fuck yeah. Tax the rich, especially the offensively rich. And look, you guys just passed a law. You guys just passed a law to criminalize hemp, which is actually really has many healing properties and is very nutritional for you. Cures cancer. I mean, supposedly. This is not medical advice, but, supposedly cures the cancer, and it just has really healing effects. But now look at all your criminals. Yeah. A lot of stupid laws, which is why I'm like, yeah, just less laws. Does that allow awkward situations? Sure. Supposedly, do you do the Kennedys keep it in the family, and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all them? Probably, but you should just kind of focus on your family. And this isn't to say that you shouldn't care about genocide, because yeah, look at Christian. A nation that's mostly Christian, right? Funding and supplying the genocide of Jesus's people. But I'm the evil one, right? Right? Or something.